I earned the right to be broken. And people go, man, what does that mean? Every scar, every wound, every broken bone, every issue I had, even all these fucking little marks coming my body, it comes from sacrifice, trying to become someone. And I'm not saying do what I did. My life took me down a journey that almost forced me to propel myself to where I went. And it was worth it. Honestly, man, I'm very grateful for it. I'm more grateful for that than being a SEAL, going to Ranger School, anything I've ever done in my life. So people always go they come to my house and I've done so many races and so many different things. I don't have an I love you wall. You walk in my house, it's like you see the decorations on the fucking wall what my fucking fiance has done. There's nothing about me. They go, why is that, man? You've done so much in your life. Man, all this shit up here is priceless. Like everything I've gone through, all this, like the journey of my life has been something that I can never ever be able to say enough about. It is who I am. Like everybody wants to be proud of themselves. When you finally become proud of yourself, you no longer give a flying fuck what it took to get there. And that's what people always say, man, look at you, man. You have all this stuff happen to your skin and your body's broken, this and that. The feeling I have in my mind is priceless. And it's not going to say you have to do it over again to get this feeling again. I do it all over again, with a smile on my face. It honestly came from, I was a big time movie guy. So we had no money. We lived in a $7 a month place growing up for a long period of time until my mom finally got enough money to move out. My best friend, his name is Johnny Nichols, growing up. His parents had 2 VCRs. So I would come over there and I would go to Johnny's house, and every fucking Sunday and Saturday, they had like fucking 1,000 movies, man. And I would go over there and start watching movies. That's what I did. They would be home, I would walk in the house, start watching fucking movies. And one of the movies I watched was Rocky. And I got obsessed with Rocky, and I got obsessed with Platoon and Rambo and all those fucking kind of war movies and shit. And I saw all these fucking badass guys. And one scene that particularly, I probably broke his damn VCR trying to watch this one scene. One scene that changed my life was only 2 minutes and 13 seconds, I believe, around there, was Rocky 1, round 14. I talk about it all the fucking time, but it literally fucked me up. Like, how you're watching something and you get this weird feeling over yourself, like, God, that was fucking special. And you get chills and you get kind of almost emotional. You get kind of choked up in your throat. So basically, man, I'm sitting there. I'm real young, going through all my hardships. Just left Buffalo, New York. I have nothing. And never had this feeling before of watching inspiration. I know what inspiration was. I didn't know what any of that shit was. I just knew, like, just pain and suffering and shit. So when I saw this guy who was Rocky getting knocked down and getting up, so I was intrigued. So I sat back and watched it a little bit more. And Apollo was supposed to be the best person in boxing, and he knocks this fucker down in the corner. And what brought my attention was that it was like a perfect storm for me. Was the music was perfect. It was a perfect scene for me to like almost gain strength. And I see this guy in the corner who reminded me of me. Guy couldn't read, talked all fucked up, just kind of this dumb boxer. But he had something that I wanted. And Mickey was saying, his trainer was saying, stay down. And he didn't hear anybody. He didn't give a fuck. All this guy wanted to do was go the distance. He didn't want to win. He just wanted to be able to go the distance. And when he stood up, off getting knocked down for like the 30th time, and I'll never forget the look when Apollo Creed finally thinks he won. His back is turned to Rocky as Rocky's getting up, and as Mickey's saying, stay down. And once Apollo turns around, he looks at Rocky. That he's now standing up in the corner. And the referee is standing beside Rocky. Rocky's like, hey, man, I'm fucking good. And when Apollo turns around, the look on this massive man who's the best boxer in the world, his face is just distraught. Like, what the fuck? Who the fuck are you, man? And when he's kind of wobbling in the corner, she's all fucked up, but it's like, no, man, not today. I just want to go against the best. I want to know that I am somebody. And he gets his gloves and he motions him back over. And Apollo's face, he like puts his face down, he shakes his head, and I'm like, that's what I want. That's what I want. So that scene was like, that's how I want to feel, because I was almost Rocky. I could feel how he was feeling. I know the pride he had to feel by, motherfucker, I stood up again. And the pride he had to feel after going 15 rounds with the best person. He didn't win, but it wasn't about that. It was the fact that for the first time in his life, he knew he was something. He was somebody. He wasn't just some old bum from the street, as he said. And I wanted that feeling. So I knew to get it, I had to train something like Rocky did, but even harder, because this was a real situation for me. This was real life. So I started to create the real Rocky.
We all have that monster that lives in our head. And that monster is the thing, whatever the thing may be, whether it's working out, or whether it's following a diet, or whether it's calling on that account that you're nervous to call on because you're scared of them a little bit, or whether it's asking that person out. Whatever it is, we all have a monster, okay? Sometimes it's the insecurity we feel about our bodies. Sometimes it's the inadequacies that we feel just because of the pressures of the society we live in. Sometimes we're just pissed off and we don't know why. And whatever that why is the monster, okay? These are the things that keep us up at night. These are the things that discourage us and cause us anxiety and cause us fear. You ever been walking around and, you really don't know why you feel off, but then all of a sudden, you do that thing that you've been kind of putting off and then you feel better? You will live a life of anxiety, of fear, of confusion, of frustration. We all have days where we don't feel like doing what we need to do. We all have days we struggle. We all have days that we dread getting out of bed. We all have these days, guys, every single one of us. But the reason that we have these days usually comes down to we are not doing something that needs to be done. All right? That's the monster. So think about what that is in your life right now. Think about what it is that you're not doing that you could do right now that will actually relieve the stress, the frustration, the anxiety that you're walking around with. Maybe it's having a conversation that needs to be had. Maybe it's talking to your coworkers. Maybe it's talking to your boss. Maybe it's talking to your significant other. Who knows? But something is causing you to feel this way. And unless you understand that you have to take care of it, get done with it, you are going to continue to live in anxiety, frustration, fear, and the way you feel right now. And you don't want to feel that way. Okay? So a lot of us go our whole lives not understanding why we're walking around with extra stress and extra frustration and extra anxiety. And when you feel yourself feeling this way, I want you to think about what the monster is. What's the monster? Okay? Because here's the thing. And we are all guilty of this, me included. Okay? The longer we allow that monster to live in our brains, in our minds, the bigger and stronger it gets, the scarier it gets, the more powerful it's perceived to be. And what ends up happening is we build this thing up to be so much stronger and so much bigger and so much scarier than it actually is, that it causes us a disproportionate amount of anxiety, fear, and frustration in our day-to-day lives. All right? Nothing's that hard. Nothing's that bad. And if you would just learn to take care of these things as they come to you, you would learn that there's a lot of freedom in understanding how to kill this monster in your brain when it's a little bitty monster, not a big, bad, scary monster. I had a project that I've been putting off, and I've been putting it off and putting it off and putting it off, literally putting off the project for like a year because I was so frustrated with how the project was going. And what happened in that time was the project got scarier. It got more difficult. And I'm laughing because literally I sat down yesterday and knocked it out in an hour. And I spent a whole entire year having anxiety and stress and frustration about not having it done. And the minute that I had it done, I felt great.